man to beat. Makes the move at midfield. Coming to the near side at the 30. He's at the 20. He's at the 10. 5. Touchdown, Kentucky.
It's that time again, y'all. Another episode of Believe in Kentucky, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network. Got Aaron Gershon for the Cats Pause. Got former UK quarterback Jalen Whitlow. Fellas, we're another week closer to having more sports, getting through summer. We got two guests. We'll probably chop it up with here in a little bit. We'll see how the order of that is. We'll let y'all know. But it's the big news of the day, y'all. What y'all say? Stoops had a little something to say today, courtesy of Darryl Bird from your Cats Pause, AG.
Yeah, he did. And it was something that story has been in the works for a while, and something that was a conversation that happened about a month ago for our yearly one-on-one for the yearbook there. And, it wasn't necessarily the plan going in to have a big NIL conversation, but, Mark Stoops felt like Darryl was the right person for whatever reason, and for good reason. I shouldn't say whatever reason, but for good reason, because Darryl does a great job and has done so for a long time. But to tell kind of the story of what's going on behind the scenes, and kind of, it was a kind of a call to action to, I think, Kentucky's administration. I think the problem here is that people are maybe missing is that, unlike what's happening on the basketball side of things, both women's and men's, Kentucky football doesn't really have an NIL staff that kind of walks Mark Stoops through things and kind of puts it in a place where at other schools, basically the coach is handed the information that they can relay to a player about NIL, and the player can take it or leave it, if you will, where Stoops has to do a lot of the having to do all the logisticals, working out the NIL stuff, and then present it to players. So he's kind of having to do two different things, which is counterproductive when he has a football team to coach, to recruit, and all that. So I think that's kind of the gist of what the complaint was from Mark Stoops. There were definitely some powerful quotes, like saying, "I don't know how much longer I can do this." I think it's a call to action. I don't think he's necessarily at his wit's end yet, but I think it's kind of like a signal, hey, I need some help over here. And he's not necessarily calling on the fans to do that. Obviously, that plays a part of it, and it's a really tough thing because you don't want to ask fans for money, especially, in the state of Kentucky, which, obviously a lot of the state struggles financially. That's obviously a well-known fact and understood, and something that both Mark Stoops and John Calipari, to his credit when he was here, have pointed out in this whole NIL verse, where there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for here? There's a lot of donating that has to happen, put money in a pot. That wasn't the word I'm looking for, but I'm coming up with it. So the funds that has to be raised, and it's tough. So again, I don't think he's necessarily calling on fans. I think this is more calling on Mitch Barnhart and Mark Hill and the administration at UK to get him some help and get him a staff, or at least an employee or two, that can kind of handle the NIL stuff, put it on a sheet of paper for him to present to recruits, and go from there. I just feel like he has to do, from what my understanding is, that he had to do a little bit of everything, is having to do a little bit of everything, and it's just counterproductive, and it makes him have to do 3 different jobs when he should really only have one, which is to, going hand in hand, coach and recruit the team. Instead, he's having to coach the team, recruit the team, and figure out the NIL verse and present it. So it's tough.
Interesting. So, and my bad, Jay, they will let you get your thoughts in. So it's this maybe not a cry for help, but a hint for help, or a statement for help.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's alarming, especially saying that you don't know how much longer he can do this. So he's definitely, reaching to get somebody's attention, that somebody of those people who make decisions around there. So, like we talked about earlier, man, it's tough, regardless of how much money Mark Stoops make. At the end of the day, He's looking to take Kentucky to the next level. He's looking to compete with the LSUs of the world, the Georgias, the Bamas. He understands what they have and the resources that they have at their fingertips. And it's kind of frustrating when you're in the same league and you have to compete against those guys and you don't have those resources. You're recruiting some of the same kids, and you know that you're at a disadvantage.
Correct.
So that's the issue. And when you're in it and you have to recruit right next to a Kirby Smart or a Brian Kelly or even a we don't like to say it, but even a Josh Heupel, and you don't have the help that Josh Heupel has. You're being pulled away from actually coaching football, and head coaches already don't coach much football, in my opinion. Especially in the offseason, they do a lot of recruiting and whatnot, even during the season. But the little that you do get a chance to coach the sport that you love to coach, the reason why you got into it, is being pulled away because you have to do a job that you're not really qualified to do. You didn't get into coaching to raise money. You got into coaching to coach young men in football. So that I'm sure that's very disappointing. And obviously he's reaching out to see if there can be some changes made and letting this thing be known.
Yeah, and look, I think we know that it's a different era of college sports, and Mark Stoops knows that he has to have some sort of role with NIL, and it's going to be a part of it. And they've embraced it. I think the 15 club has had some success. I think the Club Blue NIL is more so helping out other sports, but I think they're getting some money from that. I mean, look, they're able to keep all their top guys without too much stress. They're having a pretty good summer recruiting. I mean, the 25 class is lining up to be pretty good. So it's not all bad. And I don't think, again, that's why I wouldn't like the whole 9 million things, go shut up and win games. Like, it's so silly. It's a separate issue. I mean, again, most of these, that make $9 million have the help they need. Financially, yes, is part of it. Would Kentucky like to have more NIL dollars? Who wouldn't? And I'm sure, they're in the bottom half of the SEC, just given what the SEC is. But that's, again, just not the main issue here. The main issue is he feels like he's having to raise a lot of the money on his own, and that's just not sustainable because he has other things and more important in his mind, and he's probably right, more important things to do, which is coach, which is make sure, his coaching staff is prepared, his players are prepared, and they're also recruiting just from a football and from a relationship building standpoint. So, it is a hard world for college football coaches right now. That's why you saw Nick Saban hang it up when he probably still had some left in him. You saw Jeff Hafley, the head coach of Boston College, decide to go be the defensive coordinator at the Packers. You've seen countless Group of 5 head coaches go take assistant coaching jobs in the Power 5 ranks so they don't have to deal with that stuff. So, look, I get it's a changing time, and eventually that'll probably catch up and be the reason Mark Stoops hangs it up. But he is right that he needs some more help, and it's not necessarily. I think what fans read it as is because he made the mistake of the whole pony up rant last October, and that was a mistake. I think he would probably admit that. So, we'll say he needs help, but I think the way he did it, he probably would admit, like, coming off the 51-13 loss to Georgia, the timing, the place and time, all that, not smart. So fans see this not crap, but they see this and they compare it to that crap. That's the problem. And they think it's the same thing over again when you have to read the story closely and kind of put it together that it's not him calling out on the fans. It's not him saying, Georgia's paying all these guys $80 million, blah, 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 whatever. Just throwing a random number out there. Like, it is a call to action to UK's administration, not the fans. So I think that's the reason why there was a lot of outrage on Twitter today that I think was misplaced and wrong. That's why I've stayed away from talking about it on Twitter, because I don't want to deal with it. But I think you guys, I would say, just having been a part of helping edit this story a little bit for the last month, I think some fans are missing the point, and that's what we're here to do, to try to help, explain it here on the top here.
Yeah, and we get our guests coming up too, but I'm not saying that. Well, some fans, like you said, some fans are going to see it as crap, like you said. Even though
that's right, they are. That's like the bane word I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying I'm playing devil's advocate, but does he? I mean, two things can be true at the same time. Does he need some help? Sounds like he does.
Absolutely.
Get somebody to fill that spot. Also, we all know Kentucky isn't the wealthiest state, and you're asking fans to pony up, and you're asking fans to pony up, and then we talked about last week. You go 7-5, 2 plays away from 9-3. Hey, cross your T's and dot your I's, and then that'll make people be more inclined to help you raise those funds. I'm saying you still don't need somebody to help you.
That's the thing.
Do your job. That's between you and Mitch, and you made your statement, and it's a dropping a hint for some help or whatever it is. So y'all got to work that out, and we'll see what happens with it. But the optics for the fan, like, yo, man, hey, you gotta tighten up the W's and the L's.
And that's why it's important to read the story in full, over at catspaws.com. And, I'm not trying to call out other networks, but there's been kind of condensed versions of the story where there's some aggregating. I think it's really worth the price of admission to read the full story and kind of get a better grasp of what's going on. Obviously, the headline is, that Daryl put out and tweeted with the whole "I can't do it much longer" is to get your attention. Like, obviously, that's journalism 101 when you're plugging stories. But that's why reading the full story, because I agree with you, Vinny. I mean, I think when people just saw the headline and saw the topic, they're like, "Oh, here we go, ponying up." He's asking us to pony up again. That's not what's happening here. It's just not. I mean, yes, would he like you to? Of course. Yeah. But that's not the point of this story. It is a separate issue. If he does the whole pony up thing again after a 51-13 loss, I'll be the first one to call him out. But that's not what's going on here. I think that it's two different. They're in the same neighborhood as far as NIL. They're off based on the same topic, but they are separate issues.
Yeah, we got our first of two guests. Hopefully, have two guests. We had to kind of mix things around a little bit. We still hope to get UK wide receivers coach Dakiel Shorts on here, but right now our other guest is in the green room backstage. Aaron, you're a friend of his show. He covers Auburn, first of all, for the Last Word on College Football. He's coming to us from Dothan, Alabama. He can be heard on 96.9, The Legend, down there in Dothan. The podcast is the Phillip Jordan Football Show. It's a proud Troy Trojan, and we are bringing on right now Phillip Jordan. Follow him on Twitter at PJordanSEC. Phillip, man, welcome to the podcast. Appreciate you taking the time to hop on with us.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited about this, and Vinny, thank you for mentioning my Troy Trojans too, where I'm going to school. I very much appreciate that one.
Yeah, look, while we're on that, look, I'm a lifetime Dallas Cowboys fan. And look, I know you're glad and Troy's glad to have him, but how did Auburn not get DeMarcus Ware? I mean, come on
now. That was way back. That was over 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I don't know how that happened. There was a lot of, Phillip Rivers is another situation in the state of Alabama.
That's right.
He went to NC State, Alabama, and Auburn did not want him. And I believe the story going around, he was told, no joke, he would never make it as a quarterback, and that both Auburn and Alabama thought he'd been better as a safety. So
Phillip Rivers?
Yes. That was Tommy Tuttleville and I believe Dennis Franchione that told him.
Yikes.
It was either Dennis Franchione or Mike DeBose. That was that time that a lot of Alabama fans don't remember when they were just going through head coach after head coach.
That's funny.
Alabama fans do make a joke they will never hire another Mike DeBose, Mike
Shula.
Price, Mike Shula.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
That's
they
good.
got burned a few times on that, man, for sure.
The mics don't work out for them. It just doesn't.
Well, a lot of our guests, man, it just works out this way. Even our guests that are UK guests or work for UK now still have Alabama ties. We always let them come in and talk Alabama with Jalen. Coach Hill, the strength coach, is from Alabama. Trevor Fitz, player development coach from Alabama. So We gotta let you and Jalen talk Alabama because it's just obligatory. So you from Dothan, Jalen from Montgomery. We gotta let y'all get the Alabama talk out of the way first.
Yeah, you said Troy, man. The first thing I thought about was Jabri Barber, who's from Dothan.
Yeah, great player.
Yeah,
my family lived in Dothan for a few years. Brother went to Northview, which is now Dothan High. They consolidated. But also Coach Caleb Ross, who was at Troy. He was my offensive coordinator in high school. And he was on staff at Troy last year. I think now he may be at Tulane now. But yeah, man, I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, man. So went to Prattville High School, and so made a lot of trips to Troy, driven through Troy. A lot of times, like I said, my folks lived in Dothan, the Wiregrass area. So, ties, man. We always appreciate you out when the folks hopping on here.
Yeah, you just never know. Look, that's like a 2-hour trip from Dothan too. I've got family that's in the Prattville, Montgomery area, so I've made plenty of drives up to through Ozark, Midland City, and Troy, and all that stuff, heading up to Prattville and all that stuff. So yeah, and Jabri was great. The early time of the Dothan Wolves, as you talked about. For your audience, there was 2 schools in Dothan. They were both at the 6A level. A few years ago, they merged to be 7A. The highest level in Alabama for the Dothan Wolves, and which I'm part of that broadcast team. So I heard all about Jabri, and he did great at Troy, and looking forward to what he's going to do at A&M this upcoming year.
How long have you been down in Dothan working
it? Doing radio. I've been doing football since 2016. I was a part of the broadcast teams the last couple of years when it was the Dothan Tigers before the 2 schools merged. And then I've been with 969 since 2019. We've been the only station to broadcast the Dothan Wolves game. So I'm the producer doing in the studio and all that good stuff, doing scores and all that. But yeah, 2019 with the Wolves and 2016 overall.
Okay, yeah, my LeBron Stewart.
Oh yeah,
I've
interviewed Coach Stewart. He's a fun interview.
Yeah, he was the head coach at Northview.
Mm-hmm.
He was our O-line coach in high school. He also coached my little brother, Kalen Whitlow, who played at Northview High School, who I think he still holds all the passing records, or most of the passing records at Northview, my little brother does. So, yeah, man, small world, man. It's fun.
All connected.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, Coach Stewart's great. I remember his first year at Abbeville. He came and took over. They got all the way to the state championship game. Yeah.
Coach Stewart is he's a good one, man.
Mm-hmm.
So, how many 7A schools are there in Alabama now?
Well, there's only one that matters. It doesn't Wolves. I mean, but anyway. There's a bunch of them. Of course, that's where Hoover lays. And Dothan is in the same region as Auburn High, and Central Phoenix City. Of course, current Auburn Tiger. Cam Coleman come from there. Patrick Nix is the head coach there as well. Bo Nix's dad.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of them. There's a lot. You kind of know who the top of the line in 7A is. A lot. And look, it's usually Auburn and Central Phoenix City are the 2 juggernauts. They sit at top of 7A. Hoover's kind of fallen off the last couple of years.
Thompson is.
Oh yeah. It's shocking when they don't win a state championship with Thompson. They got there and they lost, but yeah, that so many power. So it's just kind of like you're in that spot in 7A where can you make that jump? Kind of like in 7A Region 2 where Dothan's at. Again, repeating myself, Auburn and Central, they're kind of like the top 2 teams. So it's kind of like the rest of the region is fighting for 2 playoff spots, and it's usually among 3 teams. So you're looking, it's a region where you're usually going to have a good football team not make the playoffs.
Yeah, and when I was in high school, 6A was the highest. They added 7A after I left, but it's just, and I just want people on here to realize that, when you hear powers in high school football, you don't really think the state of Alabama. You think California, Texas, Florida. However, the state champion in 6A and 7A football in Alabama can compete with anybody in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody. I'm not saying they'll beat everybody, but they can compete with anybody in the country, unless it's an IMG who cherry picks their players. But people got like this is really, really, really. I mean, you watch a state championship game in Alabama, 6A, 7A. I mean, you may have 6 guys on the field with Bama offers, Auburn offers, or more. This is really, really high level football. Really, really great players, tough kids, physically tough kids are from, areas of Alabama where, football is everything. So it's a cool state to play high school sports, man, because I think Alabama, in my opinion, is one of those states that's still somewhat pure. I'm in a state right now, South Carolina, that's still somewhat pure. You don't get like that. I just left Atlanta area where you get, people are really moving in from here. And I mean, you get that everywhere, but in Alabama, it's not on that level when it comes to that yet. So the sports are still really pure, still just down home country people that just love high school sports, man. And it's really, really high level high school sports, like especially football. So, shout out to the state. You know what I mean? Always represent the state. Obviously, I mean, a lot of people, you get a lot of Alabamians, that's on Kentucky staff on the team, and it's the reason why, man. They know where it's at.
I'll say this: the Troy people thank Kentucky because we're hoping Coach Parker lives up to the previous 2 Kentucky guys, Neil Brown and John Summerall. So
right.
When Troy's looking for a new head football coach, they should just need to look at, okay, who's up for the job that has ties to Kentucky, because it is working out for them so far.
It is. Yeah. That's a good point.
Sure enough, man. Sure enough. So, I was wondering how, glad you said that, just to get your perspective on the guys that Kentucky has sent down there to your alma mater, and you're appreciative. So that's cool, man. Flipping to Auburn, and look, you cover the SEC, you cover Auburn. Your thoughts on Hugh Freeze, Peyton Thorne, and the expectations going into year 3. How much improvement's expected, but how much can you realistically see Auburn making the jump from what they did last year?
All right, so that's a big question, right? We all look at it. So we look at Auburn, at Peyton Thorne. I think after last year going 6-7, Hugh Freeze, you figured at least wanted to get 7 wins, a winning record. And a lot of people thought, okay, should Freeze go after another quarterback in a portal? And really, before the Maryland game and the bowl game, he pretty much admitted that we're going to ride with Peyton Thorne. A lot of people question that. They've got the receivers coming. They have improved in so many different spots on this roster. Wide receiver is better. And I think a big reason why Peyton Thorne struggled last year, he had nobody open. I mean, I don't care how good of a quarterback you are. If nobody's open, it's going to hurt. And the one guy that would make plays, Rivaldo Fairweather, early in the year, he was getting open. But once defense figured, okay, this is really the only guy that these receivers can get open, we'll double him. We'll shift our defense toward him. But Thorne was hesitant. He held on to the ball too long at times. He's waiting for guys to come absolutely wide open. And we know at that level, you just can't always do that. So Freeze has really focused. He's put all the eggs in the Peyton Thorne basket. But Auburn is better. They've got 3 solid running backs: Jarquez Hunter, Damari Austin, Jeremiah Cobb. Prayer still for Brian Petit and what he's going through. They've improved on the offensive line. They've improved defensive line. Secondary may be a question. There's talent there, but a lot of guys are gone off to the National Football League. Keontae Scott, who was more of an inside corner last year, and they moved him to outside corner. They got some transfers in. So, again, kind of circling back to your question, it is all on Peyton Thorne. If Peyton Thorne is just good this season, and I've said this on my show repeatedly, I look at Auburn's schedule. I believe they can win 9 football games this year if Peyton Thorne is just good. Because, and Hugh Freeze said this last week at Media Days, when Peyton Thorne has had talent around him in the past, he was good. 2021, Michigan State had Kenneth Walker in the backfield, Keon Coleman on the outside. He proven that when he has good players around him, he can be a good quarterback. It's not going to Heisman, probably not going to win you a national championship. But I think if he just plays well, and doesn't turn the ball over, what Auburn's got defensively and everything around them, I'm meaning this. Auburn 9 wins, I think, is a possibility for the Tigers.
Yeah. That's big.
I've been saying this on my show. I'm just glad I'm going to somebody else's show and saying it. That's what it was.
I'm looking at their schedule now. I'm just taking in what you said. I can't gripe with it too much. I mean, obviously, a lot's going to have to go right. I mean, but I can't gripe with it too much. I think compared to some of the schedules in the SEC, especially, everyone's talking about is Florida's, which is just, it's crazy what they have to play. It's very manageable. I mean, obviously, I don't see any where there should be any slip-ups in non-conference. I know it happened last year, but you bank on that not happening again. And, Arkansas, not going to be any good in my opinion. Oklahoma at home, I think that's a 50-50 game that, like you said, if things go right, they can definitely win that football game. At Georgia is going to be tough. At Mizzou is going to be tough, but not impossible. I think the Kentucky game is one we've talked about on our show, is a huge swing game for both teams, with that being in Lexington. And it'll also depend on how Kentucky gets off to a start. If they lose week 2 against South Carolina, I think it could be a long year here. If they win that game and handle business up to that Auburn point in the games they're expected to win, I think that's going to be a really good, important football game. Obviously, we know what Vanderbilt is, not very good. A&M at home, I'm not very high on them this year. And then, obviously Iron Bowl, we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I can't, when I look at that schedule, man, I can't disagree with you.
I think the Oklahoma game is the swing game.
That's because that one's on your home field, right? So yeah.
Most important game on the schedule, in my opinion, is the Oklahoma game, because Alabama, A&M, Cal, New Mexico, and Arkansas. You should win those 4. Opinion here side item. I think Arkansas is going to have a interim head coach of Bob Petrino.
I wouldn't be surprised
midway through the season.
Yeah. Though I will say I'm very high on their quarterback that they brought in, because I watched a lot of his tape. Getting ready for Bush Hampton here.
If Bobby Petrino becomes,
it's happening. It's just a matter of what week.
That's like a Simpsons episode.
Have you seen their schedule?
Yeah, the SEC doesn't like Arkansas. They don't like Arkansas. Oh, my
God, they hate Arkansas. I mean, they obviously hate Florida, too. Florida hates themselves for how they added Miami and UCF. They didn't have to do that. But, Arkansas already has to go to Stillwater and play a well-coached Oklahoma State team with Ollie Gordon. They go to Auburn. They play A&M, Tennessee, LSU, Ole Miss, Texas, at Mizzou. I mean, that's freaking brutal, man. That's an awful schedule.
Yeah, I think there's about 3 schools in the SEC who, maybe should petition to get out of there, man. Really, like, come on.
It's going to be
at some point they're going to add Florida State as well to the SEC.
I don't know about that one. I'm still skeptical.
I think they will, man. I don't think it would. Yeah,
Sankey, man, I don't know. He took his shot.
Seemed pretty. That's why I'm saying he seemed pretty genuine on that one when I was down there last week. I kind of typically I'm pretty good at reading through the lines, and that time I tended to believe him. But you're right. We could be there. I definitely think Florida State and Clemson are leaving the ACC. I just think I'm leaning Big 12 for now.
Yeah, I think they go into that. I think SEC going to continue to add. Man, it's going to be one of those power conferences.
Let's do it.
And I just see that happening a couple years down the road. Who knows? But going back to Auburn, I believe in Hugh Freeze as a coach. I just do. I mean, everywhere he's been, his quarterbacks played well. He's won everywhere he's been. On the field, he's about as good as coach as there is outside of the main few, the Kirby Smarts of the world. You can add Kevin DeBoer into that piece, those guys. But, I mean, he gets it done everywhere, man. So if he has a quarterback, just go look at his track record. Mm-hmm. Every year that he has a quarterback who can play and he has good talent around that guy, his quarterbacks perform extremely well and his teams end up beating. They overperform. They overachieve. He beat Bama twice in 2 years consecutive, if I'm not mistaken, when he was at Ole Miss. He had Bama beat last year. You know what I mean? So, I mean, he had them beat. Like, I mean, I remember looking on the tracker on ESPN app. It was like a 99.8% chance that they would win that game or whatever, and they end up losing. So, you know, he had him. He just can coach, man. Now, I don't know what happened, whoever was it, New Mexico State or New Mexico, whatever. But you know, I think he can get it done. Now, 9 games. I personally don't know about 9, if I'm being honest, but I can see 7, I can see 8. And look, he's going to continue. He's going to recruit well. I mean, he's always recruited well, and he's going to get players. So, you know, I'm anxious to see how that new coordinator deal go, how that happens and unfolds and whatnot. But shocked that he didn't go after a quarterback and whatnot. But we'll see, man. Iron Bowl is one of those ones you never know. Toss up, Oklahoma toss up. Like you said, the first 4 should be W's. Who knows? We'll see. I wouldn't mind seeing. I think anytime you got 2 heated rivals in state that are good, it just you know, high tide raises all ships, man. It just makes everybody better.
It does. We'll see how Kalen DeBoer does too. I mean, this is his first crack at the Iron Bowl. Now, when Auburn got blown out pretty much every time they went to Tuscaloosa. It was always the games at Jordan Hare that were tricky.
Yes.
But with Kalen DeBoer, we'll see, because, I mean, that's a pressure-packed week. And Alabama plays Oklahoma the week before to play Auburn.
Well, that's another brutal schedule is theirs. I mean, that's a trend in the SEC, but, you know, I think
they didn't like Oklahoma either.
No, they didn't. But like Auburn got a good draw. Tennessee, have you seen theirs? They might have got the best draw in the conference.
That would be Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
Yeah,
Is it Ole Miss?
They got an easy one too.
Is that
no
right?
Alabama,
I know they missed out. I knew they missed those 2. I know they have a road game at Georgia in there though. I think. Yeah,
they go to Baton Rouge, and that's pretty much about it.
They go to Baton Rouge. Oh, they host Georgia. So those are the 2. Yeah, I don't know. Anytime you see that Georgia game, I don't know how. I guess Tennessee's got to go to Georgia too, but I'm just looking at Tennessee now. They got Arkansas in there. They got Oklahoma, Florida, Alabama. Yeah, I guess I would agree with that. But yeah, I know Alabama, man. That schedule's brutal, and they have a tricky game in Madison week 3 against Wisconsin up there. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So. Last year, was it? Where's everybody at after last year? Was it disappointment, or just let you get it build up, or was it some people like, this isn't, you know, going like we thought? What was the consensus in your opinion down there of what was going on with Auburn last year?
Yeah, I think it was mixed, to be honest with you, because you look at Auburn open up the year winning multiple games in a row. Then he went on a big losing streak. But you could hang out. Well, they almost beat Georgia at home. You know, they gave Georgia all they could handle. Then Auburn goes on a winning streak, and then you're feeling pretty good about yourselves. And you think, okay, Auburn's got a shot at 7, at Alabama, 8 wins to close out. Then you lose to New Mexico State. I think that took a lot out of it. And then, of course, you mentioned the Iron Bowl. The way the Iron Bowl was lost, Auburn should have won that game. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, the Georgia game is one thing. Brock Bowers makes a bunch of big catches. Okay. But that play for Alabama to win, Auburn should have won the game. But then the bowl game, and Hugh Freeze has even mentioned going into the Maryland game for the bowl game that he didn't even spend as much time as he wanted coaching because he had to recruit. And going 6 and 7, and they were playing a backup quarterback. It was mixed. I think a lot of people are like, okay, it's year 1, give Hugh time, let him recruit, which he's done that. He's really, like I said again, the receiving core is like a complete turnaround with what they got. You're probably not going to see a lot of receivers from last year's team even featured in this offense, the transfer portal and the recruits he's brought in. So I think that's kind of like where they're at. And a lot of people, I think, are also probably happy that Hugh's going to take over. He's going to be the play caller this year. Last year was Ron Roberts. And then, look, this is something that Auburn fans are used to because when Gus Malzahn was the head coach, it was a back and forth situation with who's calling the plays, who's not. that was kind of what it was last year, midway through the season. You're like, is Ron Roberts calling this play, or did Hugh Freeze call the play? So I think Hugh Freeze back to doing what he's known for, calling plays, is going to be big too. But yeah, I think last year, I think there was a lot of mixed reactions with Auburn. It was like near wins against the two best teams in the conference last year, but you finished 6 and 7. 3 straight losing seasons for Auburn. Been a while since that's happened. But I'll tell you this: they take Hugh Freeze over Brian Harsin anytime.
I wonder why.
Well, Hugh likes to recruit. Brian Harsin did not want to recruit, so that was one issue.
That's what did Dan Mullen in.
That's what I was about to say.
Because he's a hell of a coach. I don't think anyone would dispute that, but he did not want to recruit, and Billy Napier's still picking up the pieces there. I don't know if he'll even have time to do it by the time that he gets the boot, because like we've talked about, that schedule is unforgiving down there.
Yeah, there's certain teams the conference just does not like.
No, oh my God. I mean, again, Florida did that to themselves a little, because you had Miami and UCF, but that schedule they've got is brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they essentially they got Texas in there, right? Yeah, they sub Texas for Vandy in a sense, and they got out of playing Mizzou, but instead they got to play Ole Miss. So,
have fun.
Absolute. Now, stepping outside of the SEC just a little bit, what are y'all's thoughts on this Connor Stallions documentary that's coming out?
I'm excited. How could he not be?
Well,
hopefully it doesn't let us down, though, because it's the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought the Florida documentary, it's the same crew. I thought that was a letdown. I thought it had the potential to be great, and it wasn't. So let's hope for better.
I'm going to have to get another Netflix. I'm actually not a Netflix subscriber right now, but I guess I'm
jealous of that. Love to save money and not have that.
I have to hop back on there. I'm the kind of person that if there's something on there I want to watch, I'll get the account, then I'll binge it, then delete it again.
Smart.
So yeah, just that's what I'm thinking. Are you going to get anything? Because the Florida one, you got a bunch of sugar-coated nothing, and so that's what I'm saying is you think we get a little something. Is if it's from his side, what will it? That's the question. Will it be a little substance, a little meat on this bone?
Yeah, hopefully. I'm not going to hold my breath.
You about to say something, Jay?
I was going to say, if I had to guess, probably not. I mean, at the end of the day, what can they tell us or show us that we did? You know what I mean? That they can dramatize it, but at the end of the day, I think the Florida thing had a lot more potential in it, but for this, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just don't know. And I'm sure they can still make it good, but what can they really tell us that we didn't already, know or have an idea or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Florida team had so many personalities that you could really jump into with Urban Meyer, Tim Tebow. You had Percy Harvin, and of course, Aaron Hernandez part of it. I mean, there's just so many different.
They didn't even talk about Cam Newton.
Yeah, the Pouncey twins, all that, man.
Oh, they missed so much. It just kind of ended up to me being like a let's save Urban Meyer's reputation documentary.
They needed the Florida thing to be like 4 episodes, like a docu-series almost.
I think that's what it was, and it still stunk. Right? Am I wrong?
Was it 4?
I think so. I think it was exactly 4.
It just glossed over everything.
It glossed over, yeah, exactly.
Tried to paint it.
If it was 4, then that's not good.
I'm gonna double check that right now. I'm pretty sure.
They tried to paint it like everything was great, and everybody knows. I mean, when you peel off,
it was 4.
Yeah, you peel off Tebow and his image, but you get beyond that, and everybody knew what was going on down there.
100%.
Yeah.
Did Urban Meyer get sick, as he always does, and has to leave?
Yeah. Lose a couple games. I got some heart trouble, and
I'm out.
He never was sick when Tebow was the quarterback, though. I find that amazing.
I wonder why.
it was wild.
Mm-hmm. It really was. Oh, we already had SEC Media Days, and we looked over what everybody had their thoughts about that. But flipping to the Big Ten today, Deshaun Foster, man, there was on the field. So there was a commercial. There's a commercial back in the day. There was you don't get a second chance to make a first impression, and this was UCLA. Welcome to the Big Ten. He's representing his alma mater as a head coach. Hate to just crush him, but he had nothing, man. How you not prepare a little bit, man? Come on, yo.
I forgot he was the head coach at UCLA.
I could not have told you his name until today. I don't even know where they even get him from.
He was already on staff.
Yeah, that's right. Right. He was like a DB's coach or something.
Running backs.
Running backs. Tells you how little I follow that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just it was definitely an awkward moment, but
yeah, I felt bad for him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I just couldn't put my finger on. I mean, what made that happen? You know what I mean? How did that happen? I couldn't really. Is he like? I couldn't put my finger on it. Was he trying to be funny, or like was he trying to be? I don't know, man. Like, I couldn't tell what the angle was on that. So I know the players love him. I got a former player who plays for UCLA, and they love him out there. But I don't know what that was about.
I mean, so he's been on staff, so his the coaches he worked for would have media days. And he would go, but he's been a player, he's been around, he knows what it is. And to just, hey, how y'all doing? We won 123 championships at UCLA. Now, football wise, so now he get into his element. Football wise, we're in LA.
So is USC.
It's us and USC. Basically, I'm excited. Like say something like everybody in the Pac-10, Pac-12, they love to say Conference of Champions. You can say that to kill some time. You played there. Talk about your playing days.
Yeah,
I had 4 great. There could have been a couple things to just.
Yeah, not great.
And like Aaron, we had a little chat group last week, and I wasn't even watching Mike Elko, but I knew he was reading. You could just it was bad. Foster made Elko look like Steve Spurrier up there today. I mean, it was ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I'm looking now. Apparently he kind of joked about it. He's just not like we were just saying, he was the running backs coach. So how much media has he really done? And then, I'm sure, obviously not at Big Ten Media Days, but I'm sure it's probably the most attended one ever with all the changes in that conference. Obviously, they're adding some big programs now too. So 4 of them to be exact. So I'm sure there were some nerves there. I'm sure it was a big, look, UCLA football doesn't get the media coverage that you would think they do. They just don't. So I'm sure there was some very wide eyes, and he had a moment, and that sucks. Hopefully it'll be better for him and easier for him from here on out. But that'll be a video that surfaces for quite some time.
I don't know if that's the case, man, with that schedule. I mean,
they're
you know how it is. They're gonna get beat by like 40 against whoever. I mean, and they gotta replay those clips.
They gotta play LSU too.
Yeah, man.
In Baton Rouge.
Oh, have fun with. Oh, I said have fun for over Florida. Have fun with that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, they got a 3-week stretch of at LSU, at home against Oregon, at Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Woo.
Yeah. So you go.
I would say look forward to basketball season. I don't think their basketball team's all that good either. So
no. Well, Florida. Yeah, I think they'll be pretty good, but yeah, they're going to have to get ready for that.
You talk about making a great first impression, and the thing about that, you're in LA. So how many different where are they at in a pecking order of sports in the city of LA?
They're near the bottom. I mean,
yeah,
The
their basketball.
Dodgers,
I mean, when their basketball's
Lakers,
going right, it's
Lakers,
near the bottom.
Rams, Chargers,
Dodgers,
USC, Dodgers.
The LA Kings won a couple cups in the last 10
St.
years.
John Bosco.
No, they're USC LA basketball when it's going right is big, but that's about it, man.
Yeah.
They're the number 2 school in that town, that's for sure.
Well, the South Bay Lakers now with Bronny, they're going to be above them. So there's another one.
Well, they're already, yeah.
He played in the league too. I mean, I don't know how much media he did in the NFL, but he did have a moment. But I just thought,
yeah,
prepare, and it was just he's catching it, and we talking about it, and so is everybody else. But it was, it's summertime. There's not a lot going on except baseball, and his media day took center stage, and he wasn't ready. But like you said, what you can do is learn from it and get a little more talkative and be ready next time, man. For sure.
No. Only one way to go is up with after that performance. So
yeah. So he'll learn from it. He doesn't seem like a big guy full of personality anyway, and like I said, like maybe the bright lights and all that was a little too much for him. Are y'all watching any Olympics? That's something to kind of bridge you to football. Y'all watch the random stuff. Do you watch? What about you, Phillip? You check any of it out?
I'll be watching the basketball. That's pretty much it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's all I'll be focused in on. I work with some younger guys at my day job, and they just look at the Team USA roster and they say, "Oh, they're going to blow right out." I said, "Don't start. No. These are some good. These other countries are good now." Opening against the Joker is not going to be easy. I know they beat them by 20 points a couple weeks ago in a friendly, but yeah. So that's the one I'll be focusing on is the basketball.
No, that's it.
Yeah, I don't. If I'm being honest, guys, I don't watch any of it. My basketball fandom has decreased a lot over the years. Now I'll catch if I just happen to catch a game, I'll watch it, but I don't seek it. You know what I mean? I don't like seek to watch the Olympics anymore. I mean, it's just when I was a kid I used to, man, but now I'm just really not I don't know. I'm just not intrigued by anything that nothing's catching my eye with it yet. But we'll see. We'll see if I catch a basketball game, but I think, Team USA basketball, we all know now there's a lot more international NBA players, so it's harder to – I saw a picture of, like, a dream team, and now the dream team had to go against, like, a total of 4 or 5 NBA players from all the teams that they played combined, and now you're just dealing with a different beast. You got the game is a lot more global now, and there's more. And now it used to be the United States was so far ahead in basketball. Now we can honestly say that the United States is not ahead when it comes to European basketball and the developments and the growth of the sport over there and the growth of just the fundamentals, the details of how they play the game. It's just a lot different. And it's obviously you can see it with those guys that's coming in the NBA. It's not the same. They are ahead fundamentally and mentally when it comes to playing the game. Now, over here you got a lot of just AAU type style guys. This AAU circuit or whatnot that's kind of ruined the level of basketball over here. And it's the same for a lot of sports. I mean, I think that I was talking to people who play other sports and whatnot. They say the same thing about other countries. They say how other countries may play the same sport, but they practice a lot more over there than over here. Over here is all about games and tournaments. Over there is developmental. They're learning the skills. They're learning how to play the game the right way and developing more, the fundamentals, the mechanics of the game. So they have the tactics are a lot different and are a little bit ahead. I could be wrong, but that's just what I get from, even people over here that play in the NBA say that. So that's the thing. But, just to answer your question, I won't seek it to watch it. If I just happen to catch it, I'll watch, but I won't be seeking it really.
I'm with you.
I like, if I catch, track and field is always still fun. I don't watch it every year, but the Olympics I'll watch it. Some different swimming events are pretty cool. This Katie Ledecky she like laps the field the way Sydney McLaughlin-Leveron laps the track circuit. She's swimming the total opposite direction from everybody else. Sydney's the only runner in the screen compared to everybody else. It's just to see that domination at that level, is still kind of fun to watch for me. So I'll catch what I can over the next couple of weeks, and it's just, gets us that much closer to football, and it kind of bridges the gap a little bit. There's years when you don't even have the Olympics, and you gotta wait, and that dead summer just drags that much longer. So had some things to fill the gap. Kentucky making it to the College World Series, covered a lot of time that we normally don't have anything, and then you got the Olympics. This La Familia TBT tournament is. I was going to
say don't they play Louisville?
They do on Monday. Yeah.
So that's going to be.
That'll be cool.
Man.
Yeah. I honestly can't say I've been too tuned in. I've just had a lot of other stuff to cover and go on, but I'll be tuned into that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, for some reason I would rather watch that than like the Olympic, the USA basketball.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia going on.
Yeah, no doubt. And to watch them play Louisville, I love watching. Anytime Montrezl Harrell's on the court, you never know what can happen. So I'm tuned in. And I'm excited that I think that game is going to be like extremely heated. They gonna get competitive in that one, man.
Oh, no doubt.
They gonna get competitive in that game. I mean, that's gonna open up a lot of scars for people on both sides. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and they were on a collision course as soon as they made the bracket, and both of them were able to, take care of business to where they face each other. So Monday night, it's gonna be fun for sure. Man, Phillip, tell everybody about your podcast and your shows and everything that you're doing content-wise, Auburn, SEC, Last Word, everything you're doing, man. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you bring to the mic all the time, man.
I can check out Phillip Jordan Show wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on my YouTube channel, Phillip Jordan Sports. Put a lot of different stuff on there. And we were talking some Alabama high school football earlier. Well, I have a podcast that talks a little bit about the Wiregrass high school football. The Wiregrass High School Football Report drops every Monday. Right now, interviewing a bunch of coaches, just kind of getting ready for the season. Written work, Last Word on College Football. And you can follow me. All my stuff is over at P Jordan SEC on social media.
Hey man, appreciate you coming in and talking Alabama with Jalen. It just has to be done when we got an Alabama guest or I guess Alabama ties. So just gotta let y'all talk some Alabama, and y'all able to do that. Look, both my granddaddies are from Alabama, so yeah, they both moved to Kentucky. So
we'll welcome you in, man.
So yeah, man, Phillip, appreciate you hopping on and get closer to Kentucky Auburn. Maybe we'll get you on again when there's time for them to play or something like that. But we always appreciate everything you're doing content wise and nothing but respect, man. So thank you for taking time out of your evening to hop on with us today, man.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yes, sir. Take care, man. We'll holler at you down the road, man. Thank you, Phillip.
Right. Appreciate it, man. Take care, man.
Have a good one.
See y'all.
Phillip Jordan, Last Word, high school stuff, all this content, Auburn content as well. Good stuff from him, man. Speaking of Auburn, Cole Kubalik played at Auburn, and I guess he thought we were mad at him yesterday. And that wasn't even the case, man. It was just, I'll flip on Jocks, get a little bit of, they talk about the entire SEC. It's got that Auburn, Alabama lean to it because they're down there in Birmingham, naturally. But they talk about all the other teams. They talk about what they think everybody's going to do. They breaking down the schedules. They going in depth on rosters and, all the stuff that everybody's trying to do this time of year in anticipation for the football season. So I flipped it on, and I guess he was kind of doing a best case scenario for Florida because everybody knows how brutal that schedule is. And I guess he was trying to glass half full Florida schedule. And he was like, if things break right and why? Who's to say they couldn't be 5-0 going into Lexington Stadium against Tennessee? If they get Miami, then they can be 5-0. It's possible in this, okay. And then he says, I don't have the schedule pulled up, but whoever's after Tennessee, I'm not as fast as Aaron Gershon and pulling these things
Let's
up.
see. Here we go.
But he would say each team on the schedule and then break down a little explanation as to why they can win it or why
Kentucky looks like it's after Tennessee.
Yeah. Okay, so after beating Tennessee, then you play a Kentucky team that you dominated, and of course, we all know the history between Kentucky and Florida. We don't have to pull up the Winsipedia to know how lopsided that is. I watched the 73-7 games, the 65-0 games, the games that were over in the first quarter. That's we all know. From our account, the little Believe in Kentucky account, follow us there too. What did I say? I just said something to the effect of, if I can find it, Cole said that Kentucky dominates Florida head-to-head. And that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. You'd be crazy to argue that. But, again, we're talking about two things can be true at the same time. Yeah. Has Billy Napier had anything at all to do with that? Absolutely not. Because he's winless against Kentucky. All that happened before Billy Napier, as we know. That's all I was saying.
Yep.
And so they come back, I think, from commercial. Let me see if I got it right here. And I'll just play it. Because he thought that we were upset by just tweeting that in.
I didn't realize they talked about it. I knew they tweeted.
They're saying that Kentucky dominated the Florida 74-5. O'Cubic, Greg McElroy in studio at Mac and Cube. You can tweet in. Text in 205-834-9450. Apparently, I have upset the Believe in Kentucky Sports Network. They're saying that Kentucky dominated the Florida, or had been dominated by Florida in that series. Dare you? Should we check the Winsipedia page on that one? And what Stoops has done has been great in recent memory, but the point was that all time that has been lopsided in favor of Florida. Auburn's annual kickoff.
So, first of all, I wasn't upset. Second of all, in the tweet, I said Cole has said Florida dominated the series versus Kentucky. Absolutely true, which they have. We know they have. My only thing was Billy Napier didn't do any of that. That was my whole thing. Billy Napier has a better record against Tennessee than he does against Kentucky.
This is true.
Exactly. Shaq was the most dominant player we've ever seen. He was also a terrible free throw shooter. Two things can be true at the same time. That's all I was saying. So then I just said nobody's upset, Cole. Not arguing the all-time stats. We know the ugly Wikipedia history well. Just saying that Billy Napier hasn't contributed a single thing to that. In this "what have you done for me lately" world, he hasn't done anything versus UK. Are we in a "what have we done for me lately" society or not?
We are, in my mind, yes. I absolutely. And yeah, look, I don't think anyone in Kentucky ever will argue. Kentucky will never catch Florida in the all-time series. It's I don't even know if they'll be playing football at the point when by the time to give them enough time to do that. I mean, it's 53-21. It's not. Yeah. It's never going to happen. But yeah, I mean, Billy Napier's 0-2, and by a scoring margin of a combined, let's do quick math here, 35 points. So hasn't really been all that close. And look, Kentucky has won the last 3. They've won 4 of the last 5, right? 4 of the last 6. I'm sorry, 4 of the last 6. So yes, Florida owns the all-time series, and they owned Kentucky from quite literally from 1987 to 2017. But it is a what have you done for me lately business we're talking about. And it's just like Tennessee basketball I would say has been even with Kentucky the last 6 years, right? I don't think any of us would dispute that. I don't know what the head-to-head record is. I think Rick Barnes has a winning record against Tennessee. So that would be like Kentucky fans being like, well, we are not even Kentucky fans, just people like, well, Kentucky leads the all-time basketball series with Tennessee by 100. Well, lately Tennessee's been really good. So there you go. To show we're not hypocritical. It's the same. That's the same point that you're making there, Vinny. So they took it the wrong way.
Yeah. And I knew give us something to talk about. But yeah, as far as Kentucky, Tennessee would have to sweep the season series against Kentucky for like the next 40 years.
It's 161 to 78.
They would have to sweep. They'd have to sweep the next 42, 43 years.
Right, exactly. So you could make the same argument that, Kentucky owns Tennessee all the time. But recent history in the Rick Barnes era, Tennessee's gotten the best of Kentucky. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as UK and Florida football.
Yeah.
Right?
And so I wasn't upset. He was going best case scenario as far as, Florida, in a perfect world, everything stars aligned. Could they do all this? And so I wasn't upset. I was just pointing out that Billy Napier hadn't added to the all-time domination at all. Could Florida beat Kentucky this year? Yeah. Could Florida get revenge for Ray Davis dropping 2 bills on them in the first half in Kroger Field last year? Yeah, it can happen. But as we stand now, July 24th at 10:18 p.m., Billy Napier is winless against Kentucky. And that's all I was saying. He took it as us being upset, but if so, But I like Cole, man. I like his analysis. I think he's a cerebral dude. That you
he's
have
great.
Fun hanging out with.
There was a misunderstanding there, and it wasn't. It was just. Look, I don't think anyone in Gainesville deny what's going on right now. To them, they think it's completely unacceptable how. Kentucky's taking 3 in a row from them. So,
and if you were to flip it, had he been going glass half empty Florida schedule, the schedule is brutal. I don't know how Billy's gonna make it. I don't know. And then you go and get beat down by Tennessee, and then you play a Kentucky team that's had their way the past 3 times. The Florida fans would be like, "We still own them," So
Florida's going like 4-8. I mean,
I get it. I get it. He's on the air every day. And there's probably people coming to him all the time. And there's probably times where you feel like you can't say anything without people coming at you. Sure. So either way, but, I ain't mad at Cole. We ain't mad at Coach Hubert. I like him on SEC Network. I like him on the radio. That's why I tune in down there when I can. But we just had to talk about the little tweet. I guess it just hit him wrong or something. But
I'm sorry.
We ain't mad at Coach Hubert. Come on now.
No, it was a misunderstanding. Not mad at all.
That's it. Well, it didn't work out to get Coach Shorts on. My bad, Jay. What'd you say?
No, I was just saying, made for great content, man. It's all good.
Absolutely. And that's another fellow Alabamian, man, from Homewood. So there you go, Jalen.
Hey, man.
Another one of your people.
There's a lot of us out here.
Didn't work out to get Coach Shorts on here. I hate that, man. But maybe we can get him rescheduled and talk about the receivers and stuff another time.
Yeah, we'll get it.
But it's cool talking to Phillip. Cool talking about the schedule and everything we hit, the Olympics and all that good stuff. So Stoops' comments via the Cat's Paws, which the football edition is out, right? Football yearbook is ready.
Absolutely. Sure is.
And basketball won't be long. Y'all had that one cranked out too, right?
It'll be October-ish, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's in the works, that's for sure.
Everybody go get your copies. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Follow us on Twitter, all our social media. Listen, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Go get your shirt. We got Cat Daddy shirts. We got Everest to Eddyville shirts. Shop.believe.com. Go and pick up some merch for yourself. We'll be back next Wednesday evening. Be another week closer. We'll have La Familia Cats Cards edition that will have gone down a couple days before we hop on here. So we'll have that to talk about. A lot of these scores, you got the Elam ending. Some of these games has been like 57, 53, but these guys putting up 80, 90 points in all 3 games so far. Put 90 up on Marshall last night, 80-something up on the previous 2 matchups. So it's going to be fun. I'm kind of glad it's in Louisville. They're going to
I agree with that.
Put a little even more of a chip on their shoulder, the fact that they got to go on the road. Louisville's feeling good because they had the ticket sale win and they get to host or whatever. So, Tyler Eulis going back to the place where they had him bleeding when he was a player. So, all that, man. It's going to be fun.
No doubt. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Can't wait.
You got, like, outside of watching film and everything that you do, there's not much that makes you, like, say, appointment television. And, Jay, you're already looking forward to Monday night, man.
Yeah, I gotta check that out, man. I gotta witness that. You know what I mean? Because you got guys from a lot of different eras or years on one team. And then to play like a real tournament that's televised. And that's pretty cool, man. I like that type of stuff.
And you got Enes Kanter, who wasn't eligible to play. His younger brother comes in and he's hooping. Like, he hit the game-winning 3 the other night. You got buckets, so that you got that element. And like you said, so many guys from that era, but didn't play together. And so you're getting them all on the same squad now, a little bit older, a little bit in their 30s. Some guys not in as great a shape as they were, and that's understandable, but still out there backing her up one more time. So
Eric Bledsoe from Birmingham, Alabama.
There's another.
Absolutely.
There you go, man.
Absolutely, man. And his company, they got his, that Crumbs Leasing is his trailer leasing company. They got that on the floor, on Rupp Arena floor. And then I've seen some commercials. He founded it based out of Knoxville, though. But hey, you can do what you want. But hey, hope they continue to succeed. But it's cool to see them show his company love by putting that on the court, in addition to the Puma and the Zelle Bank that's putting all the money in their accounts if they to win it. So it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Fun stuff, y'all, man. Appreciate it. Thanks to y'all for hopping on. Thanks to Phillip Jordan for hopping on. Appreciate everybody that watches and listens and tunes in and follows and subscribes. We definitely appreciate it all. And we'll be back next week for Aaron Gershon. This is Vinny Hardy. We'll be back next week for Believe in Kentucky on the Believe Podcast Network. See everybody next week.